Hello there. Your city is about to be turned into a net zero nirvana where you peasants will own nothing and be happy, and all supported and funded by the likes of the Clinton Foundation, Google and the World Bank. And who's in charge of all this right now? Sadiq Khan. Marvellous. If you ever wondered where the drive to turn our cities into 15-minute net zero nirvanas with no cars and enforced cycling and walking comes from, then wonder no longer. Because there is a powerful global organisation out there dedicated to rebuilding your city into a climate-friendly living space. And for once I'm not talking about the World Economic Forum or the United Nations. No, I'm talking about a little-known organisation called C40 Cities. And as I continue, just ask yourself the question, when did I vote for any of this? And I would not be surprised if you'd never heard of C40 Cities. But it does exist and has its own website that lays out all its plans and objectives. With this organisation boasting nearly 100 member cities around the globe, with the whole thing being fronted by the mayors of those cities. And C40 Cities says it is a global network of mayors taking urgent action to confront the climate crisis and create a future where everyone can thrive. And to be a member city, you have to have rock-solid net zero credentials. Now these mayors collaborate, probably including swapping ideas on how to psychologically nudge their hapless citizens into compliance. Yet another global organisation to add to the list of reasons why more and more UK voters feel a little more politically disenfranchised every day. Now, one of those nearly 100 mayors chairs the organisation for 2 or 3 years, with the current incumbent being the London Mayor Sadiq Khan. But at the moment, London is the only UK city on the C40 Cities membership list, although with other cities taking up London's climate change combating ideas, I would not be surprised to see more of them added to the membership list in the coming years. Now, C40 Cities has existed since 2005, and the first person to chair it was the first London Mayor and former Labour MP Ken Livingstone. And in my opinion, his politics lie somewhere to the left of Karl Marx. But in between the two lefties of Livingstone and Khan, there were 5 others. After Ken Livingstone came Toronto's David Miller, then Michael Bloomberg of New York, then Eduardo Pace from Rio de Janeiro, and then came Anne Hidalgo representing Paris, then Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti, before we get back to London again, and Sadiq Khan. And they all have one thing in common. They are all lefties. They are all on the socialist spectrum of politics and are or have been members of lefty parties. As I see it, there is no political balance there at all. And that tells you all you need to know about the political direction of travel of the organisation and its cities. Now, all organisations of this sort need oodles of dosh to pay for their initiatives and also, more importantly, all those plush meetings they have or they attend. And there is an impressive list of funders and partners of C40 Cities, including the Clinton Foundation, Google, the World Bank, the German government, the Danish government, Amex, FedEx, and a plethora of others, many of which are climate emergency based. Now you're possibly thinking that if the London voters can be convinced to vote for the Tory candidate at the next mayoral election in just over a year's time, then they'll put a stop to this. especially when you consider that the last Tory candidate, Sean Bailey, promised in his manifesto to scrap Sadiq Khan's ULEZ expansion plot. But amongst the list of the C40 Cities funders and partners is, yes, you guessed it, the UK government. Yes, this current Tory UK government channels money into C40 Cities via the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy. And that was founded by one Theresa May and now headed by Grant Shapps. And in November 2017, the UK allocated 27.5 million quid to C40 Cities and another 27.5 million in November 2021, all while Sadiq Khan was the Mayor of London. With C40 Cities saying that this kind and generous donation from the UK government, of our money, will help them accelerate the implementation of their programmes. So while Sean Bailey was promising one thing at the front mouthpiece end, the Tories were busy at the back end shifting millions of pounds of taxpayer money into the vaults of C40 Cities to, as far as I can see, do the exact opposite. And money speaks louder than words. In fact, money shouts its intentions. And the Tory government was, of course, aiding Sadiq Khan, who was London Mayor at the time, in his push to make London a net zero nirvana. And who was the Mayor of London for 8 years between Ken Livingstone and Sadiq Khan, from 2008 to 2016? Boris Johnson. And he was actively involved with C40 Cities and even won one of their awards. So once the massively extended ULEZ starts in London on the 29th of August this year, do you really think that the Tories would reverse it if they got the next mayoralty in May 2024? Remember, I did say at the start that members of C40 Cities have to have a solid record of combating climate change. Would the Tories put that at risk for London by rowing back on the ULEZ? Really? So, do you still think that voting for either red or blue makes any difference in the long run? And have you voted for anything I've talked about? And just for completeness, Ken Livingstone started this organisation with Bill Clinton in 2005. Originally called the C20 Cities, as it started with 18 megacities, and it is based in London. And the C40 Cities Climate Leadership Group Incorporated now has 96 city members across all continents. They want this to be everyone's future. And now over to Richard.
Tell me, what can we do to change the terrible course our country and world is taking? Well, if you're not a Christian, then I suggest you take the political route. Well, I would suggest another route, but that would get me into an awful lot of trouble, so I most certainly will not be recommending you doing that. Or if you are a Christian and can contextualize world events, then you are going to draw a very different conclusion, because this current conversion of events is something that Christians have been waiting for a very long time. Anyway, back to the secularist point of view. Please, can someone suggest a way of defeating national and global powers that have willfully tried to poison the entire population with something? Never mind, we are the many, they are the few. I have watched people roll up the sleeves of their own children and allowed something utterly despicable to happen to them. So I won't be holding my breath that there will be any revolution of the many anytime soon. As we have seen since 2020, dissenting voices will eventually be silenced and the truth censored, and the truth only allowed out into the public domain once it is too late. So traditional means of changing things via, well, let's say, pitchforks, will be dismantled before they even begin. As much as I support the democratic process, I am afraid the ballot box has traditionally proven ineffective in toppling the establishment, And the definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over again and expecting a different result. So, if you are going to vote for change, you had better be sure you are voting for a leader that will not be stopped by the law or convention, and who will not respect the very democratic process itself in order to get the job done. As for what a Christian should do, well, in such times, every Christian knows what the outcome of this scenario is. So nothing to worry about for those people that hold the faith. And yes, you non-Christians will not have a clue what I am on about. But that's fine. Who cares?